Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is going to be quite a highly requested video, I think it's fair to say. So today, guys, I'm going to be giving you my initial 2017/18 predictions for the upcoming championship season. Now, of course, at this point in time, it's only just over a week or so until the championship does go ahead and kick off. So I thought I'd give you guys my predictions for what I think will happen this season in the championship. So of course, guys, let me know down below what are your predictions for what you think will happen this season in the championship. And I must say, these are only my initial predictions because we've still got a whole month to go of the transfer window, so there's still quite a lot of unknowns. I'm thinking I may do another prediction video once the transfer window has shut and we know the squads for the remainder of the season. So I may do another one after the transfer window, but this is one you've been looking forward to, I'm sure. Here are my championship predictions. And just before we do get into the video, guys, I must say a huge thank you to everyone who has been supporting the channel recently, as we have just hit 5,000 subscribers, which is honestly absolutely mind-blowing, and I honestly can't say thank you enough to each and every one that continues to support the videos and that does subscribe. It's honestly just insane. So here we go, guys. So first of all, we'll start out at the bottom of the table and we will work our way up. So coming in as the bottom three, I have gone ahead and put Bolton, Burton Albion and Millwall. Now, I will do a bit of an explanation as to each and every team as to why I've put them there. So coming in at the bottom of the table, this is a really tough one in my opinion, because this season in the championship is, in my opinion, it's going to be a lot closer both at the top and bottom of the table than it was last season. I mean, last season in the championship, we had pretty much nailed on that Newcastle and Brighton were going to go ahead and get promoted, and it was pretty much guaranteed that Rotherham were going to go down. I don't really see that same thing happening this season in the championship, but coming in at the bottom, I have gone ahead and put Bolton. The reason I put Bolton there is because I'm not sure they got the squad to compete. It's always a difficult one in judging how the newly promoted sides will do in the new league. It's pretty much impossible to judge. I mean, last season we had Wigan, who seemed to be a flop, and Barnsley, who came up through the playoffs, were absolutely electric for one part of last season. But Bolton, I'm not sure they got the squad to compete in an ever-developing league. Going forward, I'm not sure they'll score enough goals with Adam Lafondra and Gary Medine up front. They've also got quite a similar squad to what they got relegated with last time out, so I'm putting Bolton in 24th. Coming in at 23rd, I have put Burton Albion. I do feel a little bit bad for putting Burton there. I mean, they managed to pull off a great escape last season when all the doubters really were saying that Burton would definitely go down that season. This time, I rate Clough as a manager, but I'm not sure they've got the squad depth to go ahead and survive in the championship. As well as that, they've also got a bit of an aging squad, and they definitely still need to bring in the keeper. I'm putting them in 23rd. And then for the final relegation spot, I have gone ahead and put another promoted side in Millwall. Now, quite a similar case to Bolton, really. It's yet to be seen how they'll actually adapt to life in the championship. They've got Neil Harris this will be the first time he's actually managed in the championship, so I'm not sure how he'll cope with that. I have the feeling that Millwall will want to make themselves quite hard to break down this season. I feel like their home record will be important, but once again, I'm just not sure they've got the squad to survive. But coming in and just scraping survival this season, in my opinion, is actually going to be QPR. Now, this could surprise a couple of people, but I actually think that QPR at this point in time really do have a high possibility of being relegated this season. And I mean, towards the latter end of last season, QPR were abysmal for parts of it. I mean, I think in their last 8 games of last season, they only came out with 1 victory, which really doesn't paint a good picture for them. As well as that, Ian Holloway, I feel like, is a little bit tactically inept. I'm not sure how he'll be able to get the best out of this QPR side, and like we said last season, QPR didn't finish it well, and they've not really been able to strengthen in this window either. I believe the only player they brought in has been Josh Scowen, and although he is a good player, they need so much more QPR if they're going to develop as a squad, in my opinion. I feel like they're going to be heavily reliant on Alex Smithies this year, and I think it could be a struggle for them. Coming in just above them, I have gone ahead and put Barnsley. Now, Barnsley, throughout the majority of last season, they were just losing players, and they've lost more players in this summer transfer window, so I think it's fair to say that a drop from their finish last season will be inevitable coming into this season, really. I'm going ahead and put them in 20th. I think that despite losing a lot of key men, the players they brought in are young and hungry, and probably just enough to survive. In 19th, I've gone ahead and put Sheffield United. Once again, these are actually the only promoted side who I am predicting to stay up. I mean, in League One, they were absolutely storming it, and they've got some fantastic players, especially going forward. I can't remember how many goals they scored in League One, but it was pretty impressive. They managed to break that 100-point mark in League One as well, so I feel like Sheffield United should stay up this season. They may have to adapt the way they play a little bit to suit the Championship more and grind out a couple more results, but apart from that, I think 19th will do Sheffield United. In at 18th place, I've gone ahead and put Ipswich Town. Now, Ipswich Town, they could be one of those teams this season which turns out to be a potential dark horse perhaps, but the reason I put them in 18th was because I think it's pretty fair to say that they are one of the most inconsistent sides in the Championship last season, and this season as well, they don't have their get out of jail card in Tom Lawrence. He's not going to be playing for them this season, and although they have bought quite well in this transfer window, I'm not sure they'll have enough to go ahead and really propel them up the league. Mick McCarthy's a good manager in this league, but I think it may be around 18th for Ipswich. And then in at 17th, I've gone ahead and put Bristol City. Now, of course, Bristol City this season, they have lost Lee Tomlin and Tammy Abraham, so I think a large majority of their season, they're going to be pretty reliant on Fama Dahiu this season, and they're going to need him to instantly make that adjustment to life in the Championship. Lee Johnson, I just feel like Bristol City are being held back by Lee Johnson, really. I'm not convinced of him as a manager. I know he was able to turn it around last season and they didn't go down, but I just feel like Bristol City have the squad and have the resources to do so much more in the Championship, but with Lee Johnson at the helm, I'm not sure. Coming in at 16th place, I do have Nottingham Forest. Now, I am anticipating Nottingham Forest to have quite a big improvement over last season. I mean, last season was a shambles for Nottingham Forest, I think it's fair to say, and there are a lot of contributing factors to that, but overall this season, I think Mark Warburton will put a positive light on it. I do rate him as a Championship manager. Of course, he was highly successful with his time at Brentford, and from what he showed at Forest towards the latter end of last season, I think they will have enough to secure a comfortable mid-table finish. Of course, this season they have lost Britta Sumbalonga, and it will be interesting to see how they reinvest that money. But overall, I think Forest have got a decent squad this year. A lot of young talent as well, which I like to see. In at 15th, we have Sunderland. Now, a lot of people, I feel like Sunderland could be quite a divisive team this season in terms of where people think they will actually finish. I've seen people that think Sunderland are going to finish in the top 2 this season, and to me that's quite surprising. I think it's fair to say, and I still think their squad is in need of a bit of an overhaul, really. The club as a whole has been on a downward spiral for the last, 4 years or so, maybe even more than that, and Grayson's come into Sunderland, I feel like, to stabilise it. This is a long-term project that Grayson's walked into at Sunderland, and I don't feel like there's any quick fix for them, and I think it will be a mid-table finish. Perhaps I was a little bit harsh on them. They might be a bit higher than 15th, but overall, I expect them to be in that region of the table. Similarly as well, I'll put my team Preston North End in at 14th place. I've actually predicted us to finish lower than last season. Of course, we are under a new manager this season in Alex Neil, and overall I feel like the Preston squad could take a little bit of time to adapt to the new style that Alex Neil is going to want to be playing. He wants us to be playing a lot more possession based football, a lot more attacking than Simon Grayson as well, so I feel like that could have its limitations, especially at the start of the season where it could take a while for us to adjust to it. As well as that, we really do need to sort out our defence. I'm hopeful that we'll sign at least 2 or 3 more defenders for this transfer window. Going forward, I think we could be very decent under Neil, but defensively, I'm a little bit concerned. Hull City are the team I'm predicting to go ahead and finish in 13th place. Hull City, I feel like Hull City could go either way this season for them, really. They've got a bit of an unknown in terms of the manager, and this summer transfer window, we've seen a lot of their big players actually go ahead and leave. We've got the owners who don't seem to care. We've got protesting fans at the club, and I'd be surprised if Hull made it into the top 6, I've got to be completely honest, because of all the negating factors to Hull at the moment. There seems to be a lot of negativity around the club, although I do think the core of players they've got at the squad at this point in time will be enough to secure them a comfortable mid-table finish. And in at 12th, we do have Birmingham. Now, Birmingham are another club which I think could really go either way. Last season, we saw pretty much two separate sides to Birmingham. We saw them sparkling at one point under Gary Rowett, and then we really saw the lows of this team under Gianfranco Zola. But under Harry Redknapp, I feel like it could go either way. They do seem to have had some nice additions to this transfer window. I feel like defensively, they do seem to have stabled up a lot more than last season. And with those factors, Harry Redknapp I think is a decent manager, and with a couple more players like they are currently being linked to, I think it will be about mid-table for Birmingham this season. I do think that that squad is capable of it after a massive underachievement last year. And then to the teams who I think are just going to be missing out on the playoffs. So coming in at 11th place, I'm going to go ahead and predict Cardiff to finish here. Now Cardiff, I feel like this is a good squad that Cardiff have, and Neil Warnock I definitely rate as a manager. I mean, the turnaround that he managed to see last season from Cardiff when he took over a squad in the relegation zone and managed to guide them to a comfortable mid-table finish was absolutely sublime from him. But I just feel like they need a bit more oomph if they are going to go ahead and make the top 6. I feel like the teams above them just have a little bit more about them perhaps, but Cardiff definitely could be a dark horse this year. Then coming in at 10th place, this is definitely going to be a team which could go either way. It is going to be Wolves, who I'm predicting to finish in 10th place. Now, as I'm recording this video, they 100% definitely still need to bring in a striker in this transfer window if they are going to break into the top 6. I mean, we've all seen the amount of money that Wolves have spent this window. It really could go either way, and quite an unknown manager in terms of the Championship as well, with Nuno coming in. He's going to want to be playing a completely different style of football than what Paul Lambert was playing under them. So once again, quite similar to a lot of other teams, I feel like it may take them a bit of time to transition into the squad that Nuno actually wants them to be. So for that reason, I feel like they will be sat back a little bit from the chasing pack at the top of the table. And then in at 9th, I'm going to go ahead and predict Reading to finish here. Now, we all know Reading, last season's playoff final losers, unfortunately for them, but this season Reading have lost Ali Al-Habsi and Danny Williams, two pivotal players in that squad last season, which managed to see them finish in the playoffs. This season as well, they brought in John Daddy Bodvarsson in the striker area. Is he going to be good enough to propel them and keep them in the top 6 this season? I'm not so sure. I do rate Jaap Stam as a manager, and I think what he was able to do in his first season at Reading was pretty sublime, to be honest, but I feel like they need a bit more if they are going to make it top 6 this year. Then coming in at 8th place, I'm going to go ahead and predict it to be Derby County. Now, I do really rate Gary Rowett as a manager, however, I still think they need quite a bit more going forward if they are going to make it into the top 6, of course. In this transfer window, they've lost both Will Hughes and Tom Ince, so for that reason, their goal scoring may be a bit limited this season, considering as well they only scored 54 goals last season, which isn't brilliant compared to the other teams in the top 10. I feel like Derby still need quite a few more players in this transfer window, although the business they've already done has been pretty promising. And then to the team in 7th and just missing out on the playoffs, I'm going to predict Brentford. Now, this was one I am really backing Brentford this year to be a dark horse this year, and I balled it a little bit with this prediction because I've changed my mind on this list so many times to where I think teams will finish, and at one point I did have Brentford in 6th place, and to be honest, they could finish there. I think if they are able to keep hold of Jota, some of the options they've got going forward, they really could be a force this year. The only thing holding me back is I feel like they may be a little bit too inconsistent to go ahead and break into the top 6. Defensively as well, I think a couple questions could be asked of them, but if they are able to stabilise at the back and really get consistent, they could be a dark horse this year. And now, guys, into the top 6 of my predictions. So coming in at 6th place, I'm going to go ahead and predict Leeds United. Now, Leeds, in my opinion, they do have a fairly unknown manager coming into the Championship, so once again, that's one that could go either way, but in terms of the core of players that Leeds have got at their disposal, I think it is one of the best squads in the Championship. Going forward, especially if they're able to keep Chris Wood fit this season and they're able to give him the same service with players like Kemar Roofe and Pablo Hernandez in behind him, they could really be a force this season. They've strengthened in areas as well, and so if they can keep their key men fit, they could be a force this year. I'm predicting 6th place. Then predicting at fifth place, perhaps a bit of a controversial one, I'm going to go ahead and predict Aston Villa to finish in fifth place. Now, I know a lot of people will be predicting Aston Villa to probably go ahead and win the championship this season, and rightly so. They do have one of the strongest squads this season in the championship, but I just get a bit of a feeling about Aston Villa. I'm not sure if they've got the cohesion that other teams I'm predicting above them will have this season. I think as a squad of individuals, Villa are probably one of the best in the championship. But in terms of playing as a squad, I'm not sure that Steve Bruce has figured out what he wants this Aston Villa side to be. He's not really got an identity for it yet, and I don't think that Bruce has figured out a system to get the best out of every single player in this Villa squad. So for that reason, I'm going to predict them in fifth. Then in fourth, I'm going to predict it to be Norwich City, and overall I think Norwich have a fantastic squad. Last season they definitely underachieved under Alex Neil, but I think a lot of people seem to be positive around the club, around Daniel Farke. I think he could have a good impact on the championship, and from what I've seen at Norwich in pre-season, they look to be going in the right direction, and since they did underachieve last season, they should be learning from their mistakes, and with players like Alex Pritchard and Nelson Oliveira, who I am backing to have big seasons for Norwich this year, I think it'll be fourth for them. And then coming in at third and just missing out on the top two, in my opinion, is going to be Fulham. Now, I have changed my mind about this so many times, and I've muddled the top three around what I think it'll be countless amounts of times, but coming in at third, I'm going to predict it to be Fulham. Towards the latter end of last season, they really seem to find their stride going forward especially, and in my opinion, they probably do have the best midfield in the championship. However, they are still in need of a couple more players in this window if they are going to make the top two, in my opinion. They still need the striker to bring in, and they definitely still need probably another centre-back and a goalkeeper as well. So they still need to strengthen key positions, and that's the only thing that's holding me back from backing them to finish in the top two this season. And in terms of a playoff winner for this season, I'm going to go ahead and predict it to be Fulham. I've got a good feeling about Fulham this year. If they can strengthen in the areas that I've just mentioned, then this could be a good one for them. So guys, you must know by now who I'm predicting to finish in the top two, but the question is, what order am I going to go in? So coming in second place, I'm going to predict it to be Sheffield Wednesday. Now, I know a lot of people will probably be predicting Sheffield Wednesday to bottle it again this season, as they finished in the playoffs in the last two seasons, when possibly they should have finished in the top two from those past two seasons, considering the squad they do have. But they have a massive squad this season, and that could work either way. That could go for them or it could go against them. But this season, I feel like it needs to be the one for Wednesday. They need to get promoted this season, and with some of the options they've got going forward, I think this could finally be the year for them. If they are able to keep their key players fit, which was a bit of an unfortunate one for them last season, this could be the year where they finally do make it into second place, and I'm going to back them to do it. And then coming in at first place and to win the championship, I'm going to predict it to be Middlesbrough this season. Probably not a massive shock. I think a lot of people will also be predicting Middlesbrough to win the league, but I just feel like overall they do have the strongest squad in the championship. At the back, they're incredibly stable. They've got a great midfield, and some of their options going forward, now they've signed a Sombolonga and Braithwaite in this transfer window, look absolutely ridiculous. Also as well, I know that Gary Monk did bottle the playoffs last year with Leeds, but I think overall I rate Gary Monk as a manager, and I think the squad he's got at his disposal, there's no excuses for Middlesbrough not to be bouncing straight back to the Premier League. So guys, there you do have it. There are my predictions for what I will think will happen in the championship for the 2017/18 season. So do you guys agree with my predictions? Let me know in the comments down below. I am very interested to know as to what your guys' predictions are. Make sure you do leave in the comments down below what are your predictions for this upcoming season. Where do you think your club will finish? And also as well, who do you think will be a dark horse this season? So apart from that guys, that will wrap it up for this video. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you check out all the other links in the description down below. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.